Okay. Uh, wow. So, as you know, Microsoft released some information about their Xbox One. Basically, they just confirmed what people were afraid about or afraid of with the system. They said everything that you hated about the Xbox One is true. Everything you hated about it. You worried about it spying on you. Microsoft says, well, we're not going to spy on you, unless you want us to. I mean, that's basically what they said. I mean, in their little disclaimer, like, and this is what they said. They're like, and I'll just tell you what they said in regards to privacy. Your personal data will never be available to anyone outside your console. You can play games or enjoy applications that use data such as video, photos, facial expressions, heart rate, and more. But this data will not leave your Xbox One without your explicit permission. That's what they say. I don't know. I think they're going to take it anyway. I mean, if this gets popular, then of course they're going to be like, yeah, we did say that, but, we spoke to your grandmother and she's wanted to know what you were up to, so we just went ahead and said, what the heck? Flick the switch and recorded what you were doing with your girlfriend or whoever you're with, who knows. So, I mean, yeah, that's crazy. So, I guess some of the really weird things about it is, with let's say, either Xbox 360 or PS3, you can go to GameStop, you can buy a used game. You can share it with friends. If you have two Xboxes, Xbox 360s or two PlayStation 3s, whether you have kids or whatnot, and they share the same games, which usually is the case. If you have two kids and they have two systems, they share the same games. I mean, you don't buy separate games for each kid unless they like playing the same game a lot and they fight over it. I mean, I can understand that, but usually for most people, they share the same games. You can't do that with the Xbox One. You can't. It's just, they're saying no. You're not allowed to do that at all. This is what they said about used games. And used games, basically, they're in the same line as, when people borrow your games or having kids share the same library of games. They said that third-party publishers may opt in or out of supporting game resale and may set up business terms or transfer fees with retailers. In regards to game lending and borrowing, they say there are two requirements. One, you can only give them to people who have been on your friends list for at least 30 days, and two, each game can only be given once. They mentioned something about a family plan or something like that, like anyone who comes into your home can play the game for unlimited, but they haven't really gone into detail about that, so we don't really know. But from what they said, you won't be able to buy the games used, and you will only be able to let a friend borrow your game once. After that friend borrows the game, that's it. So, I guess in a nutshell, you don't own the game. You don't own it. You are borrowing the game from Microsoft or whoever the publishers are. You're renting it. It's saying you're basically buying the license to play the game, not to own it. That's what they're doing with the Xbox One. People aren't really happy about that. It's actually pissing off quite a few people. And my opinions about it is I'm not even waste my time with this system. And I have a really good idea I have a hunch that PlayStation 4 is going to have the same stuff. I mean, there was an article I was reading a while back where it said that Sony hadn't made an official statement. Now, people were saying that Sony did make an official statement. There's a guy who came out and said, PlayStation 4, it's not gonna block used games and whatnot. And then, like 2 days after he said that, there was another announcement made from Sony that said, "Oh, we haven't really officially determined that." So they actually backtracked on what that first guy announced at that PlayStation 4 conference. So that's a little weird. Let me see if I can go ahead and find that. Give me a moment. Maybe I can. Okay, so I believe I found it. Now, this is what they said during the conference. They said that the PlayStation 4 wouldn't block any used games. And this was on February 20th, during the official reveal. But, of course, a couple of days later, they said, well, it's not clarified yet. So there's a good chance that the PlayStation 4 will block used games, just like the Xbox One. So basically, the same crap that's going on with the Xbox One may possibly happen with the PlayStation 4. That's ain't good. That's probably beyond not good. So it seems to me like Sony and Microsoft are in the same boat. Now, I think what happened really was that publishers just went up to Microsoft and Sony and said, "Hey, we want you guys to just block used games." I mean, they just went up to them and just pretty frank, look, block used games or you won't get any exclusives, you won't have any games from us. And I think they ended up going to Nintendo with this same proposition. Now, this is just a hunch from my side. I think what happened was a lot of publishers went up to Nintendo and tried to kind of force them to do the same thing that Microsoft and Sony are doing. And I believe Nintendo said no, which could explain several things. One, the fact that Peter Moore, when he flew back from Japan, looked pissed. I mean, that's what one of the reports said. He didn't look too happy. And why EA's unprecedented partnership kind of dissolved, and no one knew why, outside of what that rumor was stating. That Nintendo refused having their online system going through Origin, which I think that's just one small piece of the bigger puzzle. It also may explain why a lot of games that were said to come to the Wii U, and not from just EA but from other gaming publishers, simply were either canceled or were given like kind of like gimped options, like the Sniper Elite game, because the Sniper Elite game was like missing options on there, which is weird. And some games not getting DLC, like all the other console versions were, like the Xbox 360 and the PS3 versions were getting DLC, and the Wii U version wasn't. Like well, several other games actually, like I do know Call of Duty is one of them, weren't getting DLC. And it's really strange, and I noticed that Nintendo was more focused on indie developers more so than big third-party developers, and I'm thinking that's Nintendo realized that's what those publishers wanted to do but didn't agree with it. And I mean, the way that most gamers are viewing the industry is kind of like Microsoft versus Sony industry. I mean, that's how most gamers look at it as. They don't really look at Nintendo. It's kind of like, oh, Nintendo is just, the red-headed step-sister, that you can just kick to the side. No one cares about her. It's mostly Microsoft and Sony, and that's how a lot of gamers look at it. But if they're both doing the same thing, if they're both blocking used games, preventing people from borrowing or lending games out to people, preventing people from, sharing the same. Well, Microsoft said in their little thing here, I mean, they said that they will allow a family plan of some sort. Here it is right here, see? Give your family access to your entire games library anytime. And the fact that they have to use that as a bullet point is kind of sad. I mean, you could do that now. You could do this right now with your systems. With your Xbox 360, with your PS3, your Wii U, any system that's older like Dreamcast, PlayStation 2. You could do this right now. But the fact that they have to make it a bullet point here lets you know that, yeah, it's pretty bad. So, and if both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One are doing the same things, whereas you can't do these things, and keep in mind that, I mean, this is not the only issue. I mean, you have a Kinect system that's always on, and they claim that you can turn it off, but they were only listening for the Xbox One on command, I guess. Which, if it's listening for that one command to turn the Xbox on, then it means it's still listening. The PlayStation 4 also has a camera as well. So, and you need to have the camera on for you to use the little the PlayStation Move that comes with it. And I think the PlayStation Move is like built into the controller, so you're gonna need a camera for that. So the camera has to be on for the PlayStation 4 as well. So basically, you're gonna need a camera for both systems. Both of them may not allow used games. You may not be able to lend or borrow games from friends, neighbors, family members, whoever. They're pretty much going to be the same thing. So they're going to both have DRM, a very restrictive DRM. So I don't know how gamers are really going to feel about that come E3 when Sony says, yeah, we're doing the same thing too. I think what's going to happen is people are just probably going to break down. I do know on NeoGAF, people, once this reveal happened, the Xbox One reveal, on NeoGAF, people were just all of a sudden like, I'm buying me a Wii U. And then Amazon UK sales for the Wii U went up like 825% or something like that. It went up super high. It was just like, holy crap. So I'm thinking, and this is just my personal opinion, that once Sony announces that they have the same DRM as the Xbox One with their PlayStation 4, the people are probably going to go to Nintendo, and that's when we're going to see some interesting things. We may even see some third-party developers go out of business. I mean, I don't know, it may not be that drastic, but we're gonna see some stuff. But yeah, that's my opinion on the whole thing, and yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about it.